welcome back to the Adventures in Advising podcast. This is Matt Markin. Ryan Shekel is off today. Now, the Adventures in Advising podcast has been around for 5.5 years as of this recording. Some say it's built community. Others have said they've learned strategies and practices to implement in their roles. Others have said that the sharing of stories has brought the community closer together. So I guess you can say Adventures in Advising has created a network of sorts. Well, there's only so much one podcast can do to help, to share stories, to bring about best practices, and so forth. So with that in mind, Ryan and I can say that the Adventures in Advising podcast has given a platform, but we need to expand the reach as well as the content. And to do that, there are 2 new podcasts to bring about more content for you. And to help us unpack these new podcasts, let's welcome back returning podcast guest, and that is Bri Harvie, who is co-hosting the Emerging Voices podcast along with me. Hey, Bri.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Good. So excited to have you here so we can chat about Emerging Voices. And let's bring on the other 2 individuals who are going to be hosting another podcast. And that will be coming out Wednesday, August 6th. And let's welcome back not only returning guests, but also returning guest hosts. And that's Kevin Thomas and Michael Brody Broshears. Hey, gents.
How's it going?
So good to be back on Adventures in Advising. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. And before we get to the new podcast, it's been a while since you've all been on. What's new, aside from the new podcast, what else has been new since you were last on the pod? And maybe we'll start with Bri.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of what's new. The first time I did the podcast, I'd been in my new role at SAIT up in Calgary, Alberta for about 1.5 minutes. And I've been there almost 2 years now. So I feel like I'm settled into my new gig, and I've switched roles within NACADA. I'm now one of the region division reps instead of region chair, and it's, trucking on. Here we go.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot in NACADA, so.
It's a lot. It's really a lot sometimes.
Kevin, what about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think since the last time I've been on, it's been a little bit, probably a couple of years since I've been on the podcast. And, one of the things that I think has been so exciting about my role here at UCA is the evolution of my position. When I started here, it was advising admissions financial aid registrar. Flash forward, after 5 years or so, it's now, it's bigger than that. So my title changed to Vice President for Enrollment Services and Student Success. So adding that Student Success umbrella underneath my division. And so that's been a nice little change. And I'll say it keeps me busy at all times. Within NACADA, I'm currently the chair for the Administrators Institute, which I have to say is probably where some of the ideas for our podcast come from, is just the conversations that we have within that group and those people. And I just absolutely love getting to be involved in NACADA and in this way and connect with people in this administrator type role.
Brody.
Dang, Kevin, that's tough to follow, man. Well, I started a new gig probably, I think, since the last time I was on the podcast. I've been at Illinois State University as the director of University College for a couple of years. Have kind of added orientation to my plate, but doing advising, academic support work, supporting TRIO and student support services, retention services, all of the work that I was doing in my previous role. Like Kevin, I think, I've been a faculty member now for the Administrators Institute for a few years, and that work has been really satisfying. It's been a kind of a new wrinkle for me in the NACADA world, but I'm staying active in the region, doing Emerging Leaders program here. I really enjoyed that. The first time I've done that, I'm going to do it again here in the next couple of years, serving as a mentor and just loving life. And I always say, I've got a couple of grown daughters that just recently graduated from college. So thinking about higher ed just more generally as they experienced college and their time as students has been kind of fun too. And then Kevin and I just kind of thought, we call each other a couple times a week. We may as well just put that on a show. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, might as well just record those
conversations.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We think we're funny. Everyone else will too.
Yes. We're legends in our own mind.
Absolutely.
I'm sure a lot will agree that you both are funny and would love to hear your conversations. And Brody, Bri and I can give you some tips about how the new Emerging Leaders Program is structured and how we've gone about it.
That's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm kind of a late entry as a mentor in this cycle, but I'm super excited about it. I really loved my time with Kalani Palmer. I was her mentor. She's been great in the faculty space, and I just had a great time with that group and cohort.
Bri, aren't you a consultant now?
I am. See, there's so many NACADA things, I just forget them. Yeah, I was recently accepted just in the last couple of months to be a part of NACADA Consulting Services as a speaker consultant. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun times.
Bri, have you gone out into the great ventures of whatever you're going to consult with?
Not yet. I haven't yet. I've done a few speaking gigs, but nothing for the consulting side of things. And I, like you, think I'm hilarious. So mostly I'm just going to show up and be comedic relief. And we'll just hope that that's enough to get me through this.
Whether it's the speaking or the program reviews, they're just fantastic. And so I'm excited for you to get out for the program review and do some of that as well.
Me too. That'll be fun times.
Bri's going to do fantastic. She was the keynote at the Region 8-9 conference back in March, and got rave reviews there. So yeah, she's going to be fantastic. And Brody, since you were last on, I think in December, your conversation with Roy Magnuson has really kind of spearheaded a lot of the conversations and interviews we've done about AI on this podcast since then. So a lot of it is thanks to you.
That's right. I forgot about that. I did guest host that session. And you know what? I got so excited about that, Matt, that even I did what I thought was a really fun session at the regional conference on AI and really enjoyed it. Got great feedback. It was a packed house. And there were a couple of sessions this year at the Region 5 conference in Chicago that I thought went really, really well. DePaul did something, I did something, and they were related but different, and I think they both landed really well for the association. So yeah, that's an exciting topic. We got to talk about that, Kevin. Shoot, I didn't even think about that.
Add it to the list.
Doggone it.
Well, let's talk about these podcasts. So Bri, I'm going to start with you. How would you describe the new podcast, Emerging Voices?
Oh man, is it not what I expected it to be at all, right out the gate? So this was another of Matt's brainchildren, where we were having conversations with the new mentees in the 2024-2026 ELP class, and just like hearing all of their stories and how cool would it be to interview them and talk about their journey into ELP. And what it turned into was just some of the most interesting conversations with people about their roles in higher education. Yes, their roles in NACADA as well, but just kind of their journeys through their careers, both in and out of the Emerging Leaders Program. And it's been wild. It's such an interesting thing to hear about. And I say it a few times in the podcast, and I'll say it again now, but nobody wakes up in the morning going, I hope I'm going to be an advisor when I grow up, right? No 6-year-old knows what an academic advisor is. And yet here we all land and have such different paths into it. And so, yeah, hearing those paths from these people has been just absolutely fascinating. Some really, really interesting conversations.
Yeah, and no one wakes up once they become an advisor going like, I want to be in the Emerging Leaders Program. So
right. I'm going to be on a podcast about it.
Exactly.
Now they do. They will.
Now they do.
Yes.
Now they're all like, God, I hope I'm on Matt and Bri's podcast.
So I guess we're going to have to continue it. I thought it would just be like a one season kind of thing, but I think it might turn into more than that. So I'm very excited for it. So Kevin and Brody, tell us about the pickup meeting.
It's your concept, Kevin. At least the title, I think. You got to talk about the title.
Yeah, I mean, so one, like Brody and I are like massive fans of the West Wing television show. So we're like, let's do a podcast that's about higher education, but like name it after something from the West Wing. And so we came up with like all the things, and we went through what's next and different. It's like now there are like 20 of those. All right. So it's like we came around and we were thinking about it, and like there's always this line of like Josh Lyman says, hey, let's go find a pickup meeting. I need to go find a pickup meeting, right? Just essentially, he doesn't have anything going on. He's just trying to find ways to to stay engaged. And I think that applies in higher ed so well, right? And so Brody and I talked about this because it's like you're walking through campus and you see somebody and all of a sudden you have 25 or 30 minutes there and you just had a pickup meeting and solved 6 problems. Yeah. You know, you walk down your hall and you see another colleague that you know, same type of thing happens. And so we really floated it as this idea of like, let's do a pickup meeting virtually where we just get to know folks. We just have a really great conversation. We laugh, we share, we grow, and we get better in the end of this and just have a good time with it.
Yeah, I do think too, like when I joined NACADA almost 25, 26, 27 years ago, I'm clearly the oldest person in this space.
Yeah, there wasn't a virtual pickup meeting that could occur that long ago, my friend.
No, I know. The internet barely existed, for God's sake. I mean, when I thought about that, like, why did I join NACADA and start getting involved? And the issue is you just want to be better at your job, right? Like, I think about that a lot. And Kevin and I, as friends now, we spend a lot of time each week just calling each other about the challenges that we're facing, about problems that are happening maybe in our world. And on top of solving those problems, we're just really good friends and have lots of great conversation. And I think that's the goal of the podcast, right, is to have some fun. We're, I think, both pretty locked in terms of getting the work done, but and we would just want to give people a chance to hear from other folks that are doing some of the same kinds of things that we're doing and really talk about some of the bigger issues in higher ed. I think that's why that conversation with Roy was so helpful, right? Like we start to think about that AI conversation I had with him in late December this is a really big issue and nobody has all the answers, but we have to start talking about those things. And I think that's what the podcast is all about.
And when you have those conversations, you can start brainstorming solutions to those challenges.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Bri, with emerging voices, why do you feel it's important to amplify the voices of the emerging leaders, these mentees that are in EOP?
Yeah, I feel like, and we've heard this a lot as we've been talking with folks, but there's a lot of myths around what it takes to be accepted into emerging leaders. And a lot of folks, well, I don't have anything special to contribute, or I don't have anything that makes me unique. And I think just hearing folks' stories and recognizing that everybody has a unique story and everybody has something unique to contribute to the world of advising, I think is really empowering for folks to understand before they start thinking about what their journey through NACADA might look like or through their careers, and just really elevating that voice of you have something valuable to contribute is just finding the right place to share it. And for some folks, that might be the Emerging Leaders Program and encouraging them to apply if they think that that's something that they might be interested in doing. And I feel like, especially having been on both sides of it now as a mentor in 2020, 2022, it's a whole lot of 20s. 2020, 2022, yes. And now as a mentor in 2024, 2026, it's really a partnership of learning across all parties. And I've learned, I think, as much from the mentees in the program, if not more, than the mentors. Like there's just such a wealth of information. And I hope that it encourages more people to apply to the program and to see value in their own story and in their journey.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like when we were at the Pittsburgh EOP orientation and we got to chat with all the mentees, felt like, oh, we learned a lot about them. And then we actually interviewed them for the podcast. And I'm like, I didn't know that about you, that about you, that about you. You're more amazing. Like, this is really, really cool. We got to get these stories out. And I think even just the promotional part where we talked to them about emerging leaders, why did they apply? What was their reasoning? How are they doing in the program? What are their goals? I 100% agree with you. I think listeners will have a better understanding of the program, and hopefully that encourages them to apply and not be nervous to. I think I was nervous applying to the program. Am I good enough for this? And when they did choose me, was it a mistake? Did you have the same thing?
Absolutely. I mean, the imposterism is real, 100%. And I think all of us in advising, we're very empathetic creatures, right? That's the nature of our role in a lot of ways. And I feel like we aren't always as good as seeing the value in ourselves as we are in the value in others. But 100%, I got accepted. And I was like, well, it's only because I know people, or it's only because I'm Canadian and they need a diverse voice from Canada. But it's not that. I think it's really important for folks to see just how varied that unique contribution can be. But 100%, I was terrified and convinced I was not going to be accepted. And a lot of the folks that we're hearing from are, and a lot of them also, it took multiple tries. And I think hearing from folks on, it didn't necessarily work out the first time, but I persevered and I tried something different and I got accepted my second or third time. I think it's valuable, and it's not necessarily about learning from the failure, though there's value in that, but just in trying again.
Kevin and Brody, what makes your podcast different from others in higher ed?
It's
I thought you were going.
You did?
Yeah, I thought you did the non-verbal. Sorry, listening audience.
Look,
you did the non-verbal, like, I'm going to move my mouth, and I thought you were going. Sorry. And then we both paused, and it was hilarious, and we laughed a lot. Brody, go ahead, please.
I mean, the one thing I think when we talk, I find myself in my world kind of being or thinking about the world in terms of solving problems. And so to me, I think when we bring guests on, we might challenge the way people have thought about solving problems. I think we will take maybe a little bit more of an administrator lens approach to our podcast. I don't think that means we will only interview administrators, but for me, kind of upsetting the apple cart is fine, right? Like I think it's good. And part of, I think, what we're going to talk about is really, we can't do things the same way we've been doing them, right? Like we have to think about things differently in higher ed right now. We're kind of in a different space and a different time. And so sometimes that requires some innovation and some thinking about things differently. And I think that'll be our approach in the podcast. Kevin, I don't know if that's off base or if but to me, that's what's going to make this unique is how do we solve problems that are out there, and how do we address the changes that are happening in higher education in real innovative and forward-thinking ways.
Yeah, and I think there's similarity to what Bri was talking about, right? Like with some of the, I'm going to use vulnerability of people applying for an emerging leaders program. I think when we have guests on, right, like I think a lot of higher ed podcasts focus in the topical nature of what's occurring on a specific thing that's going on, right? Like recent things have been, the legislative changes or AI or those things. And I think those things will come up. But I think the thing that will be true, similar to what you're talking about with the emerging leaders in all of their conversations, is there's like a vulnerability and just being able to say, hey, we're struggling, or we don't know what's going on all the time. We're trying to figure things out and have those conversations and just be real and honest with our guests on a whole host of things that are going on. I think there's this thought, especially for, the positions that sometimes we're going to have on, we're like looking at some provosts and former presidents and different people to come on. And it's like, oh, they have it all figured out. Right. And it's like, yeah, sometimes, right. They've got aspects of their life figured out, but like there's a journey that they've been on. There's a vulnerability that's, moving up. And that's kind of a lonely battle as you move up into various positions in higher education, and having conversations about that, and how as an administrator you work, and how as a leader you do things, and the impact that you have when the student's not always in front of you. I think being able to have those conversations and be really, really healthy in that discourse, and not just focus on AI this week or one big, beautiful bill the next week, right? Like, no, these are going to be the real things that are focused on their everyday life. And Brody talked about this with the status quo. We are for sure people that like to move beyond the status quo. So it's going to be having guests on that have done that too, and really do drive the field forward. And I think that's going to be healthy, with a strong focus on those practitioners that are in there, and not just people that are saying, here's how you should do it.
Yeah. The only other thing that I'd add is Kevin and I are really good friends. And I think that kind of can be fun. I mean, our phone conversations, we challenge each other. We can kind of joke, and that banter is going to be, I think, a part of what we're going to use in the podcast to keep it lighter, I guess, because the issues are serious. But I do think what Kevin said, like that practitioner focus, that experience, people who've really looked at higher ed from a comprehensive perspective and had said, these are things that we think, and based on my experience, will work if we make those kinds of changes.
And we've hit some of this, right? Like for those that are going to listen to our first episode in early August, our first guests, we asked questions about what's that song that you're embarrassed is in your head, right? Like this is not a higher education conversation, but for sure Chumbawamba came up, and then Reading Rainbow and a bunch of others came up, right? Like it was just, but you wouldn't think that's going to come. So to touch on what Brody said, we're going to have some fun along the way. Now Bri's thinking about that song, and she's like, don't ask me, Kevin. Don't ask me what that song is.
Yeah. And then offline, we talk about really important issues like that the banana is the best fruit. Always.
That's still not the truth.
If we were going to have a draft, banana goes number one every time. Yes.
Brody doesn't even get that support in his household because his wife was yelling back at the phone the other day saying, that's not true. That's just a bad pick.
All right.
See, there'll be a lot of the comedy in there along with the serious conversations. You got to check out the pickup meeting. So with Emerging Voices, Bri, the podcast is already live. There's a couple episodes already out there. There'll be probably one every couple weeks. I don't know if we're going to hold to this, but I think we have had our conversation about maybe doing another season after this cohort from 2024 to 2026 of the emerging leaders are interviewed, doing a season on the 2024 to 2026 mentors. And I know there's been a conversation or a thought of Bri and Matt, do you want to continue interviewing the next cohort? So I don't know, Brody, you might be on that one in a year.
Oh boy. Happy to
that'll be a fun, that'll be a fun conversation. But Bri, is there anything that you feel you want listeners when they take a listen to the Emerging Voices podcast that you hope there's one or two takeaways that they get?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like people are hopefully going to feel seen and represented in the voices and the people that we're talking to in a way that they maybe didn't expect. There's so many incredible things that we've gotten the chance to talk about with folks. And I think a lot of them are very relatable and very common to the human experience and very common to the experience in academic advising, whether we are their frontline advisors or they are leaders of advising or they are faculty. I think there's opportunity to really feel validated in our experiences because so many of them are so common. So I hope that when folks listen to it, there's some relatability between their own experiences and what they're hearing. And I think it is fun. We've had some really, really good laughs. We've already talked about the spinoff podcast of the pets of ELP because we've talked about dogs and cats, and Frankenbeans the cat, I think, is my favorite cat name in the whole wide world. It's been a really, really great experience and lots of fun. And I hope that people hear that fun too. And I kind of feel a little bit like now there's a bit of a like, which podcast is funnier thing going on. And I am excited because I'm pretty sure ours is hilarious.
Yeah. So
that's like a challenge accepted. I don't know. What do you think, Kevin?
I definitely think that Matt will have to send out some user polls, right? Or listener polls. Like which podcast is funnier, and in the end, they're just going to say Matt's, not ours.
Yeah.
No, they're going to say Bri's the funniest, and yeah, we're second, third, and fourth.
That's probably true.
I will absolutely be stacking the polls. I will do whatever I need to do to make sure that I win that contest. That's the kind of validation I need in my life.
Send it to your staff and have them vote for you. So, Kevin and Brody, to end this, with your pockets with the pickup meeting, what are you hoping listeners take away from it?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that I think that it's a good time to have conversations that we're going to have. But I really think the takeaway is that when you're at work and you're going through the daily grind, that sometimes it's helpful to have a conversation with people that are also going through a similar situation. And some of the conversations that we're going to have are really going to touch on a variety of the work that everyone is doing, right? Like I would say, probably 80% of every episode is going to be in that student success realm of conversation when we get into that topic. And guess what? We all work in that. And so to hear those things, whether that's advising student success, registrar work, financial aid, admissions, whatever, faculty members, being administrators, whatever that is, I really think that it's going to be a reassuring experience for the listener to hear some new ideas, but really to just sit there and feel like you're having a coffee, a beverage of some sort with two friends that you just happen to meet, and the guests that they bring on, and it'll just feel like it's a great pickup meeting that we're all getting to experience together, and I think that's what we're going to get out of this experience.
We undervalue those networks that we develop when we go to the conferences. Like I think we get excited when we come to learn at spaces like conferences or when we attend webinars. And then we forget, right, when those ideas are good or when someone says something really smart or has a great model or a great program, when we need that help, we kind of forget about the utilization of those networks. And that's unfortunate. And my hope would be is that the podcast gets people not just thinking about the problems and issues and solutions at hand, but to value the networks that you've developed. To me, right, like that's Kevin and I are friends, but we bounce ideas off of each other all the time. And my hope would be is with the guests that we're going to be able to continue to do that and remind people, use your networks, right? The folks that you're friends with or that you've met at the conferences. And the podcast is just kind of a living version of that from my perspective.
Very nice. So looking forward to it. So Emerging Voices already out. Pickup meeting first week of August, Wednesday, August 6th. So looking forward to it. You can find both podcasts on pretty much every podcast platform. So Apple, Spotify, stuff. So Bri, Kevin, Brody, thank you so much for being on Adventures in Advising to promote your podcast.
Thanks so much for your help, Matt. Really appreciate you.